So, why do we struggle to start things? And I guess this question starts pondering in my mind because, especially when we're trying to do something of extreme feat and we have immense goals in our lives, we struggle. We want to start it, but we struggle learning. And this is why I'm here to kind of explain to you how we can just start. The moment you look at the hardest things that you're doing, for example, if you're studying books or you're trying to read a textbook, but you're struggling to read it, why? Because if you look at it just by looking at the task itself, it's simply number one, you grab a book. Number two, you simply look at words. You simply look at words. And you just read. I mean, the moment you add in the human element of things, the moment you add in how thick the book is or the time spent reading, you start to get anxious. The human element starts to arise. You feel pressured somehow. And that is a big hurdle. You can't just automatically separate the act of the human element of things. But at the same time, if you do change your perspective and see it as, well, in order to get to here you are, number one, in order to get to the other side of this grand prize right here, it will take the first step. And there's this famous quote by Lao Zhu. He said, in order to get to the 10,000th step, it starts with the first step, and then to the next step, and then to the next step, ultimately to the 10,000th step. I don't even know how to say that word, 10,000th step. But yeah, you just have to take it step by step. Or in other words, look at it as a baby. Look at it as a baby. When you start out walking, you don't think about failing. You don't think about people judging you. You just walk and you humiliatively just walk to ultimately become the person that can walk, right? It's like, why would you look at sure, it's good to look at the prize, to keep your eyes on the prize. It's very key, but you should take it one step at a time. This is the iceberg that we're talking about, the iceberg example. When you have a goal, but there's still so much other areas in this iceberg behind. It's like, in order to get success, people only see the success, but what's really underneath the iceberg is just hard work. It's tired days and still working anyway based on discipline. It's sacrificing a lot of things. I mean, every person who achieved some sort of success had to go through sacrifices and had to go through pain and tiredness. But in order to get to this level, you don't just jump your way to the top, because what will happen is you will fail. You have to take it one step at a time. You have to climb the staircase to ultimately onto the top. If you try and get to the staircase without learning all the other little steps, the fundamentals to get into the top, you will fail. And that's the truth of the matter here, right? So whatever task you have to break it down into the first principle. Whatever task or goal you have in mind, you have to break it down. Break it down into the beginning. So let's say you want to get a six pack, right? Or you want to get fit, you want to lose weight. The first step is fixing your diet, right? You have to fix your diet. The second step is, well, you have to show up. You may not know workouts, but you still have to go anyway. You have to show up, because the most important thing to achieving your goal really is step by step, taking the first step, no matter how imperfect it may be. You have to just take the first step and don't think about the human aspect. Just think about the today and now. Think about doing this thing that is achievable, doing that right now, taking that first step. Don't worry about the time. Don't worry about judgment. Don't worry about fear. Take all of that out of the equation. And as I said earlier, look at it for what it is. You pick up a book. And you simply read a bunch of words. That's basically it. I mean, the amount of pages and whatever, you don't have to worry about the time. Think of it as a baby. As a baby, you don't think about how long it takes to get there, because let's be honest, right? You're not proud of your life right now. And if you're not proud of your life right now, why would time matter? A lot of us tend to want the results quick, very quickly, but that's just not how life works. That is just not how life works. Life takes time. And there's this graph that I've seen a lot from Atomic Habits is it takes time. It's in the stage where you don't really see much progress. And then suddenly all of this accumulation will grow and you'll start to see the results. But it's not that this area right here, I would say the death zone, it's not that it's a waste. It's really leading up to the ultimate goal, right? It's leading up to the results. Everything takes time, everything takes consistency, and all you have to do is to wrap this video up, because it's quite messy, right? To close things off, I want you to think about breaking things down into its core so that you can tackle it. You don't want to look at a goal and be overwhelmed by it. And this is called first thinking principle. The second part I want you to think about is separate the human element of things. And just think about the task at hand, because the moment you take the human element of things, I would say that 90% of the work, 90% of it is out the door. Like, it is out the door. And what's left is the 10% actually doing. Actually, your hands are moving, everything is doing. Instead of all the human emotions, all the mental games that your mind tends to play. So take that off the window. And number 3, finally, number 3 and number 4 is, number 3 is consistency. You want to do it every single day. Don't worry about human element of things or perfection, for that matter. Don't think about perfection. And lastly, I want you to approach it by not worrying about time. Don't worry about time, because it's all an illusion. As long as you keep on climbing, you will get to that goal one day, and all of it will be worth. Everything in the end will be worth it, as long as you stick to the goal. Back to number 3, you want to take it one step at a time. Don't worry about the human element. One step at a time, baby steps. And that is basically how you can start achieving great things.